With all the talk this week on my channel being about the Russian DLC coming to Battlefield 1 and what content could potentially be in that DLC, I wanted to switch things up and talk about the DLC coming after that, Turning Tides. This is the DLC that will focus much more on naval warfare and attempt to bring out some of the big naval battles of World War I and put them in video game form. We know we'll be playing out some of the Zeebrugge raid and storming the beaches of Gallipoli along the banks of the Dardanelles, but there's something else that I wanted to explore. Mentioned in the description of the DLC, we have confirmation of at least 2 new vehicles, the Destroyer and the Coastal Class Airship. Now this description was taken directly from the DICE website, not the Battlefield website. The DICE one, for some reason, has a bigger description than the one on the Battlefield website. A little bit surprising, but not a huge issue. The new Destroyer is not really a surprise. It's a naval-themed DLC, so adding to those torpedo boats and the Dreadnought Behemoth that we already have from the base game was kind of a given. The Coastal Class Airship, however, has me interested, and it's mainly due to what this thing was built to destroy: submarines. Now, submarines have been featured in the Battlefield franchise before, but it was all the way back at the start with Battlefield 1942. They were drivable, and you could sink the destroyers that would be sailing around above the water. Could we be seeing a return of the submarine in Battlefield 1? I think there's a chance it could happen. Here's why. The Coastal Class Airship was mainly used by the British Empire during World War I as a way of protecting the waters of the English Channel. They could stay in the air for hours at a time, and they were specifically designed to attack and destroy submarines. That was their primary focus. Reconnaissance was also another big part of their role, detecting enemy movement. Now, the Germans operated unrestricted submarine warfare at some points during World War I. They were literally taking down any boats that were in the water at the time, as long as they weren't working for the Central Powers. And so to combat this, the British adopted these coastal airships above the waters in the English Channel. Around 35 of these coastal airships were built during World War I, with various engines powering them, and if it wasn't obvious, the main weapon they used was bombs. The coastals could carry around 50 kilos of bombs, roughly 4 at a time, or they could be switched out for 2 larger 104 kilo bombs. And affixed to the gondola, underneath the ship, the British mounted Lewis machine guns as a form of deterrent, basically, against enemy aircraft who might try and attack. So with the primary objective being tracking, targeting, and destroying enemy submarines, would it not then make total sense that submarines will play a part in Battlefield 1, at least in the Turning Tides DLC anyway? We know this Coastal Class Airship will be coming to this DLC, so why would you add a vehicle to counter submarines and then not have the submarines? I think it's almost 100% confirmed that we're going to have submarines in Battlefield 1, and I think I've got an idea as to where these submarines could play a pivotal role: the Zeebrugge raid. This happened on the northern coast of Belgium, where German U-boats, or submarines, were being harboured. The British attempted to sink unimportant ships of their own in the mouth of the port to stop German shipping vessels and U-boats from leaving it. This in turn would lessen the threat to Allied shipping and transport through the English Channel. Now, whilst the British reported that the raid was a success, essentially it wasn't. The Germans could still get their U-boats out at high tide. This location would be almost perfect for the introduction of submarines and the coastal airships into Battlefield 1. The British having to try and stop the Germans from breaking out of the Zeebrugge port by sinking ships in their way and blowing up submarines with the airships. That situation right there is one I think DICE should be taking advantage of. So I do think we will be getting submarines in Battlefield 1 in the Turning Tides DLC, but don't forget, nothing is confirmed at this point. All we know is that a destroyer and a coastal class airship is making its way into the DLC. Let me know what you think of submarines in Battlefield 1 down below in the comments. Did you play Battlefield 1942 and use the submarines there, or are you just excited at the prospect of having them here in Battlefield 1? But until next time, my name is Westie, and I'll catch you guys in the next video.